citywide effort to create neighborhoods.
It gives you a little pride about ownership. You know, this is where I live.
How you can be heard. Then, they might not be the best jobs, but one program keeps some people out of jail and...
A lot of the stuff did not get done, and now it's going to.
But first, 6 hours of talks and no resolution for teachers in the state's biggest school district. 12 News starts right now. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Time is running short for the Anoka-Hennepin Teachers Union and the district to come up with a contract deal.
Both sides met last night for about 6 hours, but walked away with no agreement. Reporter Sonia Goins has more on the sticking points.
Teachers in the largest school district in Minnesota say they want a pay increase.
We would have about 1.5%, about 2% in the second year, a little bit of one-time money.
There would be a one-time payment of $1,000 for all full-time teachers.
They deserve a better salary. We are paying people that don't make a difference in children's lives much more.
Kathy has good reason to pay attention to the developments.
Actually, I've got 7 grandchildren in the district.
The Anoka-Hennepin district wants to adjust the pay schedule by adding a new level between step 11 and the top of the pay scale. Do you think they should get a raise?
No.
Robert's stepson goes to Champlain Park High School.
Our economy is still struggling. I think teachers should be grateful that they have a job like myself.
Last school year, the average salary for a teacher in the district was just over $62,000. Compare that to St. Paul teachers who make an average of $67,000, while Lakeville teachers earn about $65,000 a year.
I'm not against spending money for this investment, but I believe the teachers should be held more accountable for the student success.
Another sticking point is health insurance. The district wants to cap off the amount they contribute.
It is a privilege to have health care provided through your employer. It is not a right.
The teachers union says the next step is to meet on April 17th, where they will vote on whether to authorize a strike at a later date.
I hate to see them go on strike because the children do suffer. But if we want to continue to have qualified teachers that are committed, then we have to pay them for what they're worth.
In Anoka, Sonia Goins, 12 News.
The Anoka-Hennepin district says they are further apart now than when they first started negotiating. A district spokesperson says the union's proposal for this year and next is about $23 million. That's more than a funding increase provided by the state. However, both sides say they are hopeful a settlement agreement can still be reached.
Also in Anoka-Hennepin schools, the district has revised its policy regarding books with material that some parents might find too mature for their child. The school district updated its policy after some parents challenged the use of the book Eleanor and Park last year during a summer reading program. Under the revised policy, if a teacher uses a book that might be considered edgy in the classroom or in an extracurricular program, parents will get advance notice. The policy doesn't pertain to books in the school library.
It really comes down to how are we using the material and who's directing the use. When it's an adult directing for children, then we have a little bit more concern about the choices we make, and then when it's children selecting on their own, we're a little bit more hands-off, I guess, in that manner.
The school's chief technology and information officer says book challenges are infrequent, but the policy allows parents to opt out.
Members of the Robbinsdale Police Department are speaking out after the resignation and arrest of former Chief Steve Smith on prostitution charges. In an open letter to the mayor and city council, members of the police staff say news of the arrest left them stunned and upset. In addition, they are recommending interim Chief Jim Franzen be considered for that job permanently. They point to a drop in crime in recent years as an important reason not to make any major changes. The letter says Franzen has been directly involved with the recent success of the department. They add he's shown poise and leadership during this difficult time.
As Monday's deadline nears to obtain health insurance, MnSure is expecting a rush of last-minute applications. MnSure officials say the longer you wait, the harder it will be to get through to them on the telephone. And this week, wait times have averaged about 8 minutes. The MnSure Contact Center will be open 9 to 4:30 on Saturday and Sunday, and they'll stay open until midnight on Monday. MnSure says they've signed up 148,000 Minnesotans since October. Brooklyn Park has been taking steps toward improving the city's image.
And they've amped up community engagement and started a PR campaign. Now reporter Shannon Slatton explains a project that leaders hope cultivates pride in the neighborhood where you live.
This family, I know this family here, they have a couple kids.
John Granger believes in knowing your neighbors.
It gives you a little pride about ownership. You know, this is where I live.
And he believes wholeheartedly in getting involved where you live.
If you're going to live in a community, you should be a participant in the community.
That could begin here on a neighborhood level.
With the neighborhood naming, that also gives us an opportunity to say there are some specifics that we need to address for this community versus that community.
John's neighborhood doesn't have a name now, but under the first draft of the neighborhood's naming initiative, he would live in Edinburgh, named obviously after the local golf course.
Ultimately, the neighborhoods initiative is really about relationships. So we're trying to build a network of neighborhood contacts, people in each neighborhood who will have their own little network of neighbors that they communicate with.
The idea has been floating around City Hall for years, but recently a task force and community cafes helped establish where neighborhoods are and what they should be called.
Residents will be able to connect around common interests based on their geography. So whether that's the river or the golf course or their park, whatever.
For example, the Item neighborhood would be around the old Item farm. Many neighborhoods are named after parks like Oak Grove or Hardcoff. There are 30 in total, mainly outlined by the busiest roads.
We look forward to seeing what they do and how they, what happens when they meet each other and organize around common issues relative to their area.
Citizens who worked on the project, like John Granger, hope giving neighborhoods a name inspires people to be proud of where they call home.
That's what this is all about, having people want to come home with pride.
In Brooklyn Park, Shannon Slatton, 12 News.
You can see the draft plan of the neighborhoods on the Brooklyn Park website. The city is accepting comments from the public until April 29th. The plan is expected to be finalized by this summer. Coming up, instead of a jail, a different type of punishment for low-risk offenders.
We'll show you how it's working in Golden Valley. Then later in sports, 6 local players are set to compete in this weekend's All-Star Boys Basketball Series.
But first, a weekend warm-up. Sunday, we could reach the 50s. Good help can be hard to find, especially when it comes to things like snow removal, and trash pickup along the side of the road.
But Golden Valley found a $90,000 answer to that problem, as Delane Cleveland explains.
Okay, so we're going to just have you drive around there, and then we'll walk the crew right over.
Gathered in the parking lot of the Golden Valley Byerly's is a group of workers whose sole purpose is to keep Golden Valley looking clean.
Today we are actually going around the parks, picking up some of the branches that have been falling in an effort to clean it up for when they start mowing this spring.
Only they're not exactly employees.
Looks great, guys. Awesome.
Rather, they're low-risk offenders who are part of Hennepin County's Sentencing to Service program.
This program really exists to help relieve a burden of having a lot more people in jail or in custody. And for some people, it's the ability to work off fine dollars that they owe. So we'll go a little bit further in now, guys.
Program manager John Eckholm says many of the adults and juveniles in the program are here for driving offenses. The crew generally consists of 6 to 8 people working 8-hour days, 5 days a week.
It's a nice benefit for cities that need the manpower help.
In Golden Valley's case,
when people drive into the city, the first thing they look at is the streetscapes, the medians. What do they look like? Is there garbage in them? Is there weeds in them, and so forth?
City officials say they needed the STS manpower to do the jobs that simply never got done.
We just simply don't have the staff.
So they paid Hennepin County $90,000 to make it happen.
There's no way we could hire people and cover that many people in 5 days a week. So we're really getting a lot more done than we anticipated, and the city is benefiting as a whole from it.
And in a city with miles upon miles of green space, officials from the city and county say it's money well spent.
Thanks, guys. Once again, it looks awesome.
In Golden Valley, Delane Cleveland, 12 News.
Projects coming up for the summer include trimming trees and shrubs and laying down mulch. This is the first year that Golden Valley has contracted with the Hennepin County for the Sentencing to Service program. No word yet on whether they'll continue that partnership next year. Coming up, an event in Plymouth this weekend that may actually help save your life.
But first in sports, the state's top young archers are in Brooklyn Park this weekend. John Jacobson has that and more when we come back.
So you think high school basketball is over in Minnesota? Not quite yet. Not if you're among the elite players in the state. Get another chance to lace them up.
Right, and then no pressure this weekend.
Yeah,
it's kind
right,
of a
this is
fun
for fun.
weekend. It is, yeah. With the state tournament in the books, it is one last chance to showcase their talents for the top senior boys basketball players in the state. 6 players from our Channel 12 viewing area are part of the Boys All-Star Series this weekend. The teams held practices Friday at St. Cloud State University for the series, which is sponsored by the Minnesota Basketball Coaches Association. There are 4 teams of 10 players each competing in the 2-day tournament. Champlin Park's Ian Smith and Jake Wright of Hopkins are on the blue team, while Wheeler Baker of Osseo and Ryan Casperson of Armstrong High School are on the gold team. Isaiah McKay of Park Center and Brennan Witt of Champlin Park are also in the tournament.
It's a great honor. Should be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to play against all the great talent in the state. Can't wait.
It's an honor, first and foremost. Just excited to come out and play with a lot of good talent in the state and enjoy ourselves and just get out and represent, our schools.
It's going to be fun. It's obviously an honor to, come out here and play with all these guys, the best players in Minnesota. So we're ready to come out here and have fun, hopefully get a win tonight. That's the plan.
All-star competitions tend to be a little low-key and fun, so we asked, does winning matter?
Winning's definitely important. No matter what you're doing, basketball is always important. So we're not going to come out here and disrespect the game. We'll all play hard, play the best that we can, and be the best and hope for a win.
Games are tonight, Friday at St. Cloud State, and then Saturday afternoon at McAllister College in St. Paul. Tickets will be sold at the door. Admission cost is $8 for adults, $6 for senior citizens and students. The Osseo Baseball team is looking to improve this season, and they feel they have the talent to be better. The Orioles are coming off a season in which they won just 2 games in the weather-shortened campaign. Many of the same players did have more success in the Summer American Legion season, and they're eager to prove this team will be better than they showed last spring.
Yeah, we definitely had a lot of come-from-behind wins in Legion, and I think we just kind of learned how to win and stuff as a team. So I think that'll give us a lot more experience coming into the season and playing in close games.
The Orioles do have some solid returning pitchers to build around, including Jonathan Ludwig and Charlie Hohenstein. They know what it will take to win more games.
Our pitching at the top end is real quality. A lot of returning innings with those guys. I think it's our hitting. We gotta get that geared up, and if we're able to score a few runs in the games, I think we'll end up on the better half this year, unlike last year. So
we kept the score low on the other team last year. Good pitching, good defense, but we are just one or 2 runs short most of the games. I think if we can get runners in scoring position, score with runners in scoring position, we'll definitely be a lot better.
Osseo is slated to open the season April 9th at home against Park Center if the weather cooperates. Students from one local high school are taking aim at a state tournament this weekend. The annual state archery tournament starts tonight at Champlin Park High School and continues Saturday. Students at Champlin Park, along with those at Jackson Middle School, compete tonight and tomorrow. I talked to tournament director Barry Bovers about the event earlier today.
Well, there's 1,220 kids registered, and the skill has gotten elite now. There's kids that'll score in the 290s out of 300, which is pretty darn good. If you keep in mind the first few state tournaments, the champions were scoring in the 250s. It's really escalated in the 10 years, and we've gone from 67 participants at the very first state tournament that was in Grand Rapids to, like I said, over 1,200 this year. The top 10 individuals in each division qualify for nationals. The winning teams automatically qualify for the national tournament in Kentucky as well. And then there's also a qualifying score for each division, elementary, middle school, high school. And if a team meets that qualifying score, then they too can participate at nationals.
The tournament is part of the National Archery in the Schools program. It started in Kentucky a dozen years ago. Admission for spectators is $3 for those 12 and over. Seniors and veterans are admitted free. And that's a look at sports. Kind of a fun weekend for all of those. Fun to watch, too.
All right,
Yeah.
thanks a lot, John. Still ahead, a lesson in Plymouth that can help build confidence.
May even help save your life at some point. We'll be right back in a moment.
If you found yourself face to face with an attacker, would you know what to do?
A Plymouth martial arts instructor says for most people that answer is no. And this weekend he's offering a free self-defense class to empower men and women so they never become victims. 12 News reporter Cassie Bonstrom has more in today's Weekend Showcase.
Master Tommy Brown says it only takes an hour to build confidence.
So we're going to show you some very, very basic moves that anybody can do.
And knock down misconceptions.
Doesn't matter how big you are, how small you are.
Brown teaches free self-defense seminars about 4 times a year at his Plymouth Academy.
No!
The classes are geared toward women, but men, he says, always benefit as well.
But there's always somebody bigger, badder, and tougher.
The techniques he teaches aren't necessarily the flashy ones you see in Hollywood movies.
Seeing, breathing, and walking. If they can't do those 3 things, okay, they can't fight.
For example, rather than going for the groin, he says first go for the eyes.
You know, if my hands are closed, my hands will open up and my knees will start to bend, and just like that reflex, my hands will start to come up to my face.
He encourages women to be loud and powerful.
The bigger scene you make, the bigger fight you put up, the less likely you're going to become a victim.
Brown does these seminars for free, hoping to erase a phrase he heard over and over again during his years as a police officer.
I continued to hear when I'd go to a victim's house, well, I never thought it was going to happen to me. And that's the big theme. You know, it happens to other people, it doesn't happen to me.
He doesn't want to instill fear in women, but rather empower them. And after just an hour-long class, 2 women say Brown did just that.
I feel a little more confident in moving around and really telling somebody that I don't have the time to answer their questions or just walking away.
The way it is nowadays, we need all the protection and the knowledge that we can get.
No! In Plymouth, I'm Cassie Bonstrom, 12 News.
No! And if you're interested in Tommy Brown's seminar this weekend, it's happening on Saturday from 11:30 in the morning to 12:45 at the Plymouth Creek Athletic Club. It is free, but you do need to register. And we'll put that registration information on our website. Go to 12.tv. Good information for everyone. In fact, you took a class once.
I did, but I didn't know the go for the eyes.
Yeah,
that's something I don't think you necessarily think of. So
yeah.
Good advice.
It is. That's it for now. Thanks for joining us.
Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here Monday.